For this recipe, we're going to be doing a really fun take on a classic Italian dish called Cacio e Pepe, which really literally just translates to cheese and pepper. And it's really as simple as that. The key is using good quality product. So for this one, I'm using community grains, whole grain linguine. I really love this product. I love the earthiness, the nuttiness of it, and you're about to see why. So we're going to start off by, we're going to use half of our butter, melt that in the pan. We're going to use that to toast our pepper. Just going to swirl that around and melt it. The recipe calls for a teaspoon and a half of pepper. Once our butter's melted and a little foamy, see it's starting to foam there, we're going to add a teaspoon and a half of cracked black pepper. Teaspoon, half a teaspoon. Might seem like a lot of pepper, but that's the whole dish. That's all the seasoning we have there. A little cheese, a little salt, a little cracked black pepper. You want to swirl the pepper around in the butter, just till you start to smell the pepper a little bit. It's all nice and incorporated. I can already smell it. About a medium heat. You don't want your pepper or your butter to burn. I've got my pasta water going here right next to me. Make sure it's rapidly boiling. I'm going to add a good amount of salt to that water. Kosher salt. It might look like I've added a lot of salt to that water, but when you're cooking pasta, this is your chance to season your pasta, right? The actual noodle itself. So you almost want it to taste like the ocean. Okay. I've got my pepper toasting, my water boiling. I'm going to go ahead and drop my pasta. I'm using 10 ounces. That's one portion. I'm going to turn my flame down now and keep this on low, just to keep it warm while my pasta cooks. Once the pasta starts to soften up, give it the occasional stir while it's in the pot, just to keep them from sticking together. And you want to cook them again in rapidly boiling water, and cook until they're just al dente. Probably going to take about 5 minutes in there, but the best way again to tell is to just give it a taste. So now I'm going to go ahead and start my sauce. Use some of my pasta water. To start, I'm going to add about a half a cup or 4 ounces of my pasta water. I'm going to add the rest of my butter, the other half of my butter. I'm going to stir that into incorporate. I want to keep my flame on low while I'm making my sauce because I want the butter to emulsify into the pasta water. If you turn the flame on high, you run the risk of the butter breaking. And you don't want the pasta water to reduce too much because remember you're going to add that Parmesan cheese in there and you want it all to come together. If it gets too thick, you can always add a little bit more pasta water. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to add my 1 cup of Parmesan cheese right into the pan. Stir that right into my sauce. You can see how that nice creamy sauce is coming together. So you want to pull your pasta out when it's a little al dente and you finish it in the sauce. That's going to help some of the starch in the pasta release into the sauce, which is going to add a lot of texture and flavor. It's also going to help some of the sauce absorb into the pasta, which is going to add a whole other dimension to the dish. That's perfect. The general rule, anytime you're using box pasta, whatever time it tells you to cook it on the box, cook it 1 minute less in the water, finish it for a minute in the sauce, okay? So we're gonna go with our pasta into the pan. I'm not so concerned about draining all that water out because I want a little bit of it in my sauce. Put that all in there. Okay. Again, we're on low. Be real gentle with the pasta. You don't want to see already how the pasta water has thinned that sauce out. I'm not going to add too much more water to this. This seems to be the perfect amount of sauce. Now remember, you want this to be a great balance. You don't want it to be too saucy. You want to taste the noodles in this dish. It's the beauty of this dish is the heartiness, the earthiness of the noodles. So what you're looking for is a balance between the noodles and the sauce. You don't want this to be a rich sauce-laden dish. I'm going to add my pecorino to this, and that's looking really good to me right now, just the way it is. So I'm going to turn off my heat. I'm going to add just a touch of water just to finish melting that cheese. Put the heat off. And that's right on. If you notice in the recipe, I haven't even salted this dish because you've got the saltiness from the pecorino and the Parmesan. We're going to add prosciutto to it, as you're going to see later, so we're going to leave it alone. I think the salt content is right on. Again, you're cooking this at home, that's up for you to decide, but I like the salt right where it is. I think you'll probably agree with me. Now we're going to go to the plate with this. This is a pretty classic dish. Outside of the earthiness of the noodle, which I love, it adds a whole nother dimension to this dish, and then another little twist, which we call the ham and eggs, that we're going to add to this. So and this could be 2 entree portions, it could be 4 appetizer portions. You can put out a big platter of it, just let people pick at it. That's up to you how you want to serve it. Now what I've done here is separated a couple of eggs, and I just have the yolk. Don't be afraid of the raw yolk. As long as you're using great fresh egg, you've got nothing to worry about. The key is once you mix the yolk through the pasta, the hot pasta is going to cook that yolk. So you're going to have a cooked yolk at the end. You're just going to spoon that yolk in a little pocket there like that. And I've got some beautiful prosciutto here. So I've got the yolk that we're going to mix in the hot pasta, some beautiful prosciutto. I'm just going to tear, not too fussy, just tear it right on top. Okay? And that's where the ham and eggs comes in.